The Secrets of Star Wars is brought to you by the StarQuest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/give.
Hey, this is Matt Landry, the voice of Anakin Skywalker in Star Wars The Clone Wars. You're listening to The Secrets of Star Wars. This is where the fun begins.
Hello there.
It's a power that Jedi have that lets them control people and make things float.
Impressive. Every word in that sentence was wrong.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
It's against my programming to impersonate a deity.
That's not how the Force works.
Force is with me, and I am with the Force, and I fear nothing.
Remember, the Force will be with you, always.
You're listening to The Secrets of Star Wars, where we talk about everything connected to that galaxy far, far away. From movies and books, television shows, and more, we're looking at the deeper themes and meanings found in our beloved Star Wars universe. And be sure to follow along with The Secrets of Star Wars on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app. And you can find us also on the StarQuest YouTube channel. You can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/StarQuestMedia, on X, where we are at SQPN, and on Instagram, where we are at StarQuest Network. And of course, be sure to get your official Secrets of Star Wars gear in time for Christmas, hopefully, maybe, at sqpn.com/merch. And today we are discussing episode 3 of the new series Skeleton Crew. And this episode is entitled Very Interesting as an Astrogation Problem. I'm your host, Thomas Salerno, and joining me tonight is Jon Koral. Hello there, John.
Hi, Thomas.
And Kathryn Laffrey. Welcome, Kathryn.
Hello.
All right. So since this is all three of us' first time talking about this show, I just want to quickly go around first and get general impressions of the show so far. And of course, also this episode. So, Kathryn, how about you? Or are you enjoying Skeleton Crew?
I am having fun again.
Right, because I think the last time we were on was the Acolyte. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, this time I'm actually having fun and enjoying Star Wars and enjoying flashbacks to times past with all the little tie-ins. And yeah, it's fun. I like just having fun, and I needed it.
Nice. What about you, John?
I'm the same with it. I think I was 9 years old with Return of the Jedi, so it's like when I'm watching them play with their little characters, and then I can imagine walking up to a friend like they did in that first episode with the light, they're pretending the lightsaber. But it's just like there's so many scenes that I haven't watched a lot of those movies and 80 movies that the first two episodes that they talked about on the last podcast, like with E.T. and such. It's like right. And Goonies and stuff, and it just takes me back to that time. And it's either I'm thinking of I'm having a fun time enjoying it because it's helping me reminisce about those times, but it also makes me think about what it would have been really cool as a kid to be a part of such an adventure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm going to make a confession that first episode and most of the second episode on my first viewing did not click with me at all. And I think it's definitely more of a me issue than an objective problem with the show. One, I think, okay, first of all, I have been so busy this week that I had to at work and with freelance stuff that I had to cram viewing of these first 3 episodes into a binge session. And I was so tired. And I had very little patience with the kids. And now that may filter into what I suspect may be the other reason. I am not a parent. So the kids may have grated on me more than they would with people who are used to being around children all the time. I don't know what it was. I think if I watch them again, being one when the whole series is over and done with, and I can watch the whole thing from beginning to end again. And when I'm much less tired, maybe it's like something about that first episode wasn't grabbing me. I had very little. I liked that opening sequence but once they got to Suburbia Planet, I'm like, I have no patience. Can't we get back to the pirates? But anyway, this episode, the third one, is where I was like, okay, no, I'm on board. I can get invested. I liked this episode from beginning to end. So, like, despite how tired I was. But before we get deeper into it, I just want to give a brief recap of this episode. And I want to credit Wikipedia, which I've adapted this recap from. So, on the planet of At Attin, the kids' parents are told that their supervisor will not risk contact with the Republic now that the derelict ship with the kids has gone past the barrier. Jod Nanawud, who, okay, he doesn't claim to be a Jedi, but the kids think he is, helps the kids escape from the brig on Port Borgo, but the kids refuse to leave without their droid SM-33, forcing Jod to go back and rescue him. They somehow manage to outwit the pirates and flee. Fern and KB don't trust Jod. Wim and Neil think he's a real Jedi. Jod takes the kid to meet an old friend of his called Kim, an astrocartographer, but he doesn't even really trust her. Kim refers to Jod as Crimson Jack before revealing that At Attin is among a series of legendary planets called the Jewels of the Old Republic that were lost or destroyed long ago. She prints the coordinates, all the while stalling until a New Republic X-Wing patrol can arrive and arrest Jod. Jod finally admits that he never actually said he was a Jedi and tells the kids that if they don't work with him, they will never find their way home. Their ship makes its escape from the X-Wings just in time. Okay, so I think what really clicked with me this episode was Jod himself. Very much. He has that perfect blend of charisma and sleaziness that a good Star Wars scoundrel should have.
He's got a hint of creeper. I'm sorry, but there's just something about the faces that he makes at different times that as a mother, I got warning bells going off, and I'm like, kids, creeper alert, but
stranger danger, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. Oh, but he seemed to me more like a Star Wars Jack Sparrow.
Little bit.
Almost.
Yeah.
Just his, like you said, his weird facial expressions, his mannerisms, his kind of, smooth talking, but also kind of manic, all over the place-ness. I really enjoyed every second of him on screen. I thought it was great. What about you, John?
No, I mean, I've enjoyed John. I'm not sure exactly what to call him. It's like, because as I was taking notes, I'm like, Jod, Captain Silvo.
Yes.
Now Crimson Jack and stuff.
Now Crimson, he has many names, doesn't he? It's like right. It reminds me of that moment in the Fellowship of the Ring book where Strider is introduced to Frodo by one of his other names, and Frodo says to him, "Strider, you have a lot of names." So yeah, it's like he's Jod, he's Crimson Jack, he's Captain Silvo, and I'm like, I forget whether they mentioned this on the previous review, but Silvo, Silver, Long John Silver. I'm like, yeah, there's nothing. This show is about as subtle as a brick to the face with some
Crimson Jack, Captain Jack,
Jack Sparrow. Yeah, and I was just wondering. I thought at the last minute, I'm like, wait, is he connected in any way to the Crimson Corsair from The Force Awakens? That pirate in the red armor who appears in the background. He's never called the Crimson Corsair on screen, but he in like the visual dictionary and on Wikipedia, that's what he's called. So I'm like, but of course there might be a bunch of pirates who use Crimson in their moniker. It's a big galaxy, but but sometimes the Star Wars galaxy seems so small and self-referential that I wondered if that must be a reference to that, but who knows at this point? We're still early in the show.
He's the closest we'll get to the characters I always wanted to see in live action. And instantaneously, when I saw him and when I saw the way he used the Force, I was like, it's George Cardass. Do you guys know who that is? So in Thrawn's duology, The Hand of Thrawn and Spectre of the Past, Talon, Carday,
right,
wanted to go see his mentor because he had all this information. And George Cardass, had actually learned how to use a little bit of the Force. He was healed by Yoda once and then learned how to use the bits of the Force from these Force-sensitive creatures. And it was like, I always wanted to see him live action. So to me, it's like they're taking that great character from the books and making him someone new.
Yeah. I wonder if we could discuss other theories about that, because my brother and I were hashing this out, and he's like, okay, well, we've seen now in Star Wars that people can impersonate Jedi if they have the right tools to do so. Like that guy from Obi-Wan with the magnets and stuff. So, like, it's possible, and I think the kids even referenced that at one point. Their little debate in the cockpit. Yeah, you could have been doing magic tricks. Yeah. But, like, I wonder also if he's the right age to have been a youngling at the temple. So, like,
I don't think he was ever Jedi trained.
Okay. Because I was like, maybe he had a little bit of training, but, who knows?
Well, I was thinking, though, too, it's like with those... as you go through these stories and stuff, whether it's in the books or the TV shows and stuff, it's a matter of, we do know children are Force sensitive, and they were trying to capture them and use them and stuff. Not just the Jedi trying to find them, but the Empire. So, and then you see all these children that's like, no, don't show that you can do this. And, at a 5-year-old, can levitate or, bring something to them without moving or something and stuff. But it's like, I think he could have been one of those kind of children potentially that, maybe has something a little bit more than the average person. But then, he would be sitting there playing around maybe with it because no one ever came to bring him to the Jedi Temple or, hunt him down as as a threat or whatever. So. That'd be my kind of theory with it.
Yeah, and I like that he makes the point that he's like, well, the Force moves through all living things, and it's like, okay, yeah, technically, but it's like, yeah, I just like the way his character plays off the kids. I think that's what is going to make the show for me.
Yeah.
Is his interactions with the kids now that they're kind of together as this weird sort of quote unquote crew, and and of course SM-33, the droid.
Oh, great droid,
yeah.
With his little rat.
Rat in his eye, peg leg, and he almost looks like, my brother and I were talking about this, that he's like a proto K series. Because he's like K2, he's big, and he can knock you flat if he wants to, so almost if he's like sort of like was supposed to be a security droid or something like that, and he's just been like repurposed and stuff. I like when he has that scene with Jod together, when Jod's taking the knife from the skeleton, and I like when he comes back like several seconds after they think their conversation is done and just goes, I am brilliant.
Well, the funny thing too with it as well was he's like, I will not repeat myself, and then he repeats himself.
Which I gotta ask, is anybody else noticing the repeat in words and names? So you have At Attin.
Yeah.
Then you got
like At Attin.
Yeah, and it's Wood, and then
Wood. Yeah,
a lot of people have double letters, or or SME double. It's like there's a lot of doubling. So I'm like, what's going on?
I hadn't noticed that, but you're right. Yeah.
Especially with the subtitles on, you see all the spellings, and there's all this doubling up. Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
I'd like to go back to the parents in the beginning, though. Because Wim's dad, the guy's doing a great job acting this dad, because he's a distant dad yet trying to take care of his son. He never mentions the mom. Only Wim does. Doesn't, so it's like, I'm like, where is she and what is the dad hiding?
Right.
I feel like there's like such a huge backstory with this little family pair that I want to know what happened to the mom. I feel like maybe she's got Jedi connections or something.
Right. Or she's deeper into this whole great work thing they're up to on the planet than he is.
Yeah.
Whatever that's all about. They were talking in the last episode about like it might have something to do with currency, because they're teaching the kids all about numbers and technobabble stuff. And I was thinking to myself, like, but this wouldn't make sense timeline wise. But I was like, okay, in the sequel, because a lot of what they've been doing in recent Star Wars is setting up things that we know happen later in the sequels. And I'm like, okay, the First Order doesn't appear out of nowhere. You need money for all those ships and all the stuff. Now, I know they got some of the money from those rich people on Canto Bight, but that's one plan. That's not going to be enough. So it's like, I almost wonder if if Attin is some sort of front, because they were saying that there's something vaguely sinister about it, and it's like
some offshore island account.
Yeah, like if it's almost some sort of front for what the First Order or some other evil thing that's going on the fringes of the galaxy that needs money and needs a safe place to stash all that money. So I just wonder, but they talk about the Republic, so pre-Empire is when this was set up. But we know that Palpatine was laying the foundations of what would eventually become the Empire for decades. So who knows?
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because I think it's the Jedi Academy series of books. I forget who wrote those.
Oh, Kevin J. Anderson.
Yes.
Those were great. Yeah.
And they had in there a set of scientists that were away from communication with the outside world because they were in
the Maw.
The
Maw installation. Yeah.
And so here they had all these secret weapons and stuff they were building. So when they showed that map with the jewels of the Republic and stuff, and it made me think, okay, if you've got one place that's doing weaponry and another place that's got all the money, there's got to be something that connects it all together.
Right, yeah. My brother and I were joking, though, that it's the kids are the jewels. They're like the jewels of an era from the Wingfeather saga. If anyone's read those books or seen that show, but
no.
But I think I just spoiled something. I'm sorry. Anyway, but in any case, it's I do like the mysteries that they're setting up, and I am interested to learn more about At Attin, and I can't think of that without thinking of the way people say At instead of AT-AT. So it's like, there's the divide in the fans of how you pronounce the Walker name, but yeah, I like that mystery. I like the setup with not knowing where Jod's force powers, if they are real, where they come from, and what, like, we know he wants the score of a lifetime. But we don't know what his motives are beyond that. If it's just that,
Yeah.
You know, I just want a big score because I'm a pirate. Or is there something deeper going on?
Yeah. I loved how K8 was through this whole episode because she was constantly calling him out.
Mm-hmm.
If you could have floated the key, why did you stay in the dungeon? You know, it was
I'm glad she said that because it was the first thing I thought of.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, why did? And he gives a reasonable answer because he's like, well, I had no ship to escape in. But then I was like, but you're a pirate. You could hijack a ship. I'm like with the, it's you do this all the time. But
it's essentially how they left.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
but to a child, that would be a reasonable answer. You know, like
or like when everyone's asleep on the ship when they finally escape, and she's just sitting up looking at him. And I love how you can't tell because she's got her visor down.
Yes.
You know, and then she just calls him out like, you know, I did the data. I love how she's like calculating everything.
I ran the odds, which is a Star Wars thing to say. Yeah.
There were so many great little Star Wars throw-in lines.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
I wonder what was with
that. Got away too easy.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think of that. You're right. Yeah. Like when they're in the first movie, when they escape. Yeah. Which makes me think, are they being tracked or do they want them to escape? What was with that awkward scene where John's just eating and they're staring at him awkwardly? I thought that was funny.
Awesome.
And he's like, oh, there's more. And then like kids, they start fighting over it. Like
he's such the bad uncle in that episode, in that little moment. Because you hear, what's his name? The little blue elephant kid.
Yeah, Neil.
Neil, you hear Neil's stomach growl.
Yes.
And he's just snarfing down his food, and the kids are just like, and he's like, oh, there's more. It's like, okay, you know, any other adult would have offered the kids food. You're just stuffing your own face first.
Right, because he's a pirate, you know, or it's like, you know, who doesn't know where his next meal's coming from, so he's just going to immediately you know, eat whatever food he can find. But yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I wonder how often. Oh, there's something interesting they said. So like we were talking about back on At Attin, they say that they don't want to they can't risk contacting the Republic. And I assume they mean the pre-Empire Republic. Like, because the kids don't know what's happened since. And so I don't know how much the adults know about galactic events. But it's just interesting, like, whoever this supervisor is, I don't think we've been introduced to that character, but, you know, I just like that the droids just matter-of-fact bureaucratically tell them, oh, so remain calm, and we can't risk getting a message to the Republic. So, like, whatever their initial mission parameters were, it was at the behest of the Republic, I think.
Mm-hmm. Well, it also makes it sound like the kids are at fault. You know, it says the ship that illegally exited the barrier.
Yeah, gaslighting them. Yeah,
you know, and it's like, but the one thing I found was interesting too. It's like, as you were talking about the father of Wim, is Fern's mom, because she, you know, you see her in the high levels, and she wants her child to be the top student and all that, but then she says, oh, when I would run away, the safety droids would just find me.
Oh, yeah.
So she had like a free spirit side of herself too, I would think, or an adventuresome side like her daughter. And that was I thought that was interesting, because she's like, oh yeah, but I guess maybe she did it out of safety, knowing that she'd be found and brought back okay, but, you know, never transported off the planet and into hyperspace. But
those security droids with their, you know, camera-looking face, that just they creep me out. Especially when they just like stand there looking, and it's like, I just want to throw a rock at it.
Yeah, unfortunately, I feel like that's what security robots are going to look like in real life. Like that, because that seems like something some soulless security company would develop, like on Earth. Like, and that's the thing. A lot of things on At Attin are vaguely similar to something maybe you'd see on future Earth, you know?
Or in Back to the Future.
Right, yeah. Speaking of the future, yeah. Mm-hmm. But then you have that derelict ship that was there, which looks nothing like... It looks more like a traditional kind of Star Wars-y ship, you know?
I almost wondered, since they found it in that trench...
Yeah.
Was the ship... Did the ship crashing there cause the trench? And they just covered it up by saying that it was part of some construction project and now it's off limits? It's like interesting.
It was like
there's a big
buried.
Story. There's a big story about the crash of that ship.
There has to be, because it was buried and there was like trees growing on top of it and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been there for a while.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I liked I think one of my favorite moments with Jod was when he's quote unquote rescuing SM-33. And he gets to talk to his old crewmate. I think that's the point where we're explicitly told, like, oh, he's Silvo. And I'm glad they didn't drag that out, because it was obvious to me from the first scene of the show that that's Jude Law's character. But when he's talking to did I miss something, or did they not show us how he got out of that? Because the guys, after their conversation where the guy's telling him, I thought you was the best captain we ever had. And then when he's going to go, the alien says to him, I'd be remiss if I didn't report your escape to Captain Brutus, the mutineer. And then next thing we know, Jod is running back on their ship saying, go, we got to blast off. And I'm like, And then like you said earlier, Kathryn, that they said their escape was too easy.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm wondering, did Jod make a deal with Brutus? Let me go, and I can bring in the biggest score ever.
Yeah, but Brutus didn't look too happy.
That's true.
After the escape. Maybe he made a deal with other people so that he could get out.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he made a deal with that the guy he was talking to for tea. And then, and then he let him go. But I thought maybe it would be something, though, like, when he hears the noise down the hall and he steps away as they're leaving the prison, and then knocks out the guy or whatever he does. We don't see it. He just, you just know there's some action going on. And maybe he just did that, too, before, put SM-33 on the I don't know what you call it.
Gurney?
The gurney. Yeah. And roll him out after he knocks out the other guy or something. I don't know. But
yeah, it just seemed like we weren't. At first, I was annoyed because I'm like, they didn't show us how he got out of that. And then I was like, Thomas, they did that for a reason. That they're going to reveal later. So, again, I was so tired when I watched these episodes.
Yeah. The ship is like them driving out of the shipyard was awesome. I mean, that definitely felt like Jack Sparrow-y. I mean, it made me think of it enough that I actually rewatched the first three Pirates movies. But it was totally like when Sparrow is like, just random, like, hey, this is going to work. We're going to swing from here to here to here and get out. And the way he was just hauling that ship around to collect all the other ships as they're all tethered by their fuel lines. Oh, my goodness. And then the way that thing backlashed.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. That's a well-made fuel line. That was good. Because he looks so genuinely surprised.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of Port, what was it, Port Borgo as a location? Like, as a cool Star Wars location? Because I loved how many little stories are going on in the background. Like, when they get there, like that other episode, when they get there, there's just a guy vomiting in front of them. And then, you can see scuffles breaking out in the corners as people fight over food or credits or whatever.
Star Wars Tortuga?
Star Wars Tortuga, or like Port Royal.
Yeah.
It's so much, like, I just love that when they can show little vignettes going on in the background. Another movie that did that brilliantly that we've reviewed here on StarQuest is The Adventures of Tintin, where if you look in the background of that movie, there's tiny little like extras characters doing all kinds of their own little story going on. So yeah, that's what I really liked about this environment, was how dynamic it was.
And the detail of the force field between like the working business end at the top and all the ships, and then the brig at the bottom.
It was like the water line in a pirate movie, That was really cool. Yeah.
I just always kept finding myself, though, it's like as they're moving through it, and then you'd see Neil stop and turn around to watch something. And I'm like, what are you doing? Go, go, go.
Yeah. He's a kid. I guess he's easily distracted.
I love the way his big eyes just roll at different times, and you're like, you really see little emotion going on in that puffy face. So cute.
And this may have been in the second episode, but that practical effect, that monkey that ferries them is brilliant. That I loved that creature. It reminded me of Salacious Crumb, but creepier somehow. I think they've done a great job establishing the kind of pirate ethos of, like, it's this movie. This show is every pirate movie. It is Pirates of the Caribbean. It is Treasure Island. It is Hook. It's the Goonies, all thrown into a blender, and somehow it were that's since this third episode was almost entirely pirate adventure stuff. I think that's what was like, okay, this is what I wanted. I'm down with that. Yeah, because Treasure Island is one of my favorite books, period, ever. So. Like, I'm definitely down for more pirate adventure. So when he takes the kids to that moon to meet his contact, first of all, my brother and I were laughing because we were like, this moon looks like our moon in the sense that there is no atmosphere, and yet they can walk around without space helmets. Which I thought was funny. I don't know if that's a mistake or we're just supposed to hit the I believe button and because I was like, should they have space helmets on? What's going on? But anyway, like there we meet Kim, his contact, which is spelled KH''YMM.
MM.
And I'm like, okay, because like if you didn't have the subtitles on or look on Wikipedia or Wikipedia, you would never know that it wasn't just KIM.
Right.
But she was an interesting alien. Yeah, a kind of owl cat thing. I think, Kathryn, you brought up, I think in our Slack channel, right, that she's like Aughra from the Dark Crystal.
Yeah. Oh my. Yes. Seriously. As soon as we didn't see her yet, but as soon as they stepped into her observatory, library, collection of all things, I was like, I have to message Thomas now. Because we had done that episode about it. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so Dark Crystal.
Yeah.
So it just made me love the whole thing even more.
Yeah.
But,
and I was thinking,
my gosh, Kim is just beautiful. The perfect 50-50 blend of cat owl.
Owl. And I was thinking too, since it's an owl in a library, was Wan Shi Tong from Avatar: The Last Airbender. But but Kim's a lot more friendly than he is. Wan Shi Tong's just a jerk, but yeah, I like that. Yeah, it reminded me, a lot. Once you said that, and then I saw it, I'm like, yeah, it's Aughra's observatory, and she's kind of this very quirky character like Aughra is. But I like that she she either hates Jod enough that she's willing to turn him in, or she's trying to stay on the right side of the law now, or both. Because she calls in the New Republic and says, like, I think he's kidnapped these kids. Which he kind of has. He's forcing them to take him everywhere with them, so... Yeah. Well, when you think about it that way, Kathryn, you're right. There's a creepy aspect to it, because he definitely, as an adult, he already has a power advantage over them.
Oh, and he was bad uncle again as soon as they step off the ship onto a moon and you have no idea if there's atmosphere.
Yeah.
And what KB goes, it's cold. He goes, yeah, suck it up and walk, you know?
Yeah. Although I like when he yells, he's yelling at the two kids who are messing on the cargo lifter arm. And he's like, what are you guys doing? He's like, we're playing. He's like, you can't play on that. That's a load lifter arm. Get off. But yeah, I like that Kim has 3 of those. I call them doorbell droids, but they're those droid the eyeballs on stakes that come out. Right. But these, instead of having like a garbled Huttese voice that talks to you, it just talks in Kim's voice. Mm-hmm. But she has like multiples of them that come out and look at Jod from every angle. Crimson Jack, is that you? And yeah, and she tells the kids like straight up, don't trust this guy. Like he is a scoundrel. I think she uses that exact word.
Well, what's funny too, though, is when they're going there and he's telling them not to trust him. He's like, "Yeah, she could stab you in the back." And then Neil's like, "But that really no, it's just a, like a
just an expression." Yeah,
yeah.
He's like, you'll understand when you're older.
Yeah. That was awesome. I like the whole animation with her was great because they even had the detail of she has a perch for when she's working on her computer.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So you can see her land on her little perch with her back feet, and then her wing 3 fingers were typing away on the computer and stuff, and it was really neat. And then I have to say though, her outfit.
She was wearing clothes?
Yes.
I missed that.
She was wearing a cape.
So tired.
She was wearing little pants and a belt and a shirt, and she was wearing an outfit that looked like the librarian from the Jedi Academy. Or the temple. She looked like the temple librarian.
Oh, her. Master,
so like, why is she wearing a little outfit where she looks like a Jedi?
Yeah. Well, apparently she doesn't have the same philosophy as that character, where if an item does not appear on our records, it does not exist. It's like, but yeah, because she goes to like great level. Of course, she's stalling for the X-Wings to get there, but like she does, though, also seems to show genuine interest in finding out where the kids are from. Because I don't think you can fake that level of excitement she was showing. Mm-hmm. She, that's hard to fake. So, but I like
paper
when
map.
Right, yeah, or a chart or something. Like I like though when Jod sidles up to her and says, if I didn't know better, I'd say you were stalling for time. And he's like, oh, what would make you think that? But yeah, that map or whatever that was that showed the different planets. You know what it also reminded me of? One of the early Han Solo novels from the 70s. I can't remember which one it is. It's the one where they're literally looking for a planet worth of treasure, but it a hidden planet that no one knows about that's filled with treasure. Spoiler, it turns out at the end that it's not literal money treasure. It's a weapons depot. But they thought it was money, but it turns out. But I don't think that's going to be the case on At Attin. But it's like Star Wars has done this before in expanded materials of hidden planets filled with treasure and stuff. But it definitely seems like something like Pirates of the Caribbean would do. Like, don't you know there are like these 7 islands like with buried treasure? You know, so perfect setup for like Oh no! I was just gonna say they can use these other planets later, but Kim said they were destroyed.
Yeah,
that's a shame. Like,
I know. I was like, oh, we could go to all these different planets. Oh, they're destroyed. Oh.
Well, here's one thing I didn't understand is like, okay, they're talking about the jewels. You know, what was it called? The Jewels of the Republic or something. I forget what they called them. But then they keep thinking At Attin's a mythical place on one hand, but then it's like, but these other 6 places are already destroyed, you know, and it's like, well,
yeah,
how do you know that
destroyed if they're mythical?
Right. So it's like you would think there would be a lot more people, or there would be more looking out for them, unless I don't know. I
guess it's like Atlantis, because it's like people know Atlantis gets destroyed, but it's also probably not a real place. It's probably legendary, but like, yeah.
And if they were protected like this, then, you know, stories wouldn't be coming out, or the actual things that happen there.
Right, because the barrier, but I think they mentioned this in the last recording, the barrier, it turns out, like, stops nothing. Like, you can just fly right through it. So it's more of a psychological thing, I guess. Or
maybe it's a barrier so people don't see it.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Because she's talking about the nebula gases or whatever and stuff is what she was mentioning.
Oh, that's right. Because she's like, because the kids tell her this is what the sky looks like on our planet,
right?
And
and then
and she's like, that narrows it down by like that rules out 99.9%, but it's still like an insane number of planets that they have to go, because people forget the universe is huge. So
yeah, I forget if she said 10,000 or 100,000 worlds, and then Fern's like, oh, there's so many, and she's like, we've already gotten
eliminated 99%, but it's like, considering how many stars there are even in a single galaxy, even if you eliminated 99% of stars, that's still an insane amount of stars to go through. But I would assume computers in Star Wars universe can compute faster, but then a lot of them seem to be analog computers, so I'm not sure. So, but
and they have a hard time with backups.
Yeah. Or they, like the Empire, they keep a lot of their data backed up on physical tapes on a planet like Scarif, where if you destroy it, there goes all your backed up data. Great. So yeah, she does stall for time, and the X-Wings show up, and they make their. I thought, by the way, Jod was going to shoot her dead, Kim.
Yeah.
I think he almost does, but
yeah, I was glad KB went back to check on her. And then she gives her the line, did he tell you trust your gut? And she's like, use your head. Oh. That was awesome.
So he's used that line on other people before.
Yeah. And then the way that KB confronts him as they're going up the ramp. And I love seeing her take the high ground. Yay, go Obi-Wan-ish.
Yes.
And then to just literally push him back and be like, I want the truth now. And I was like going, do I believe him when he says he's alone? And he's all like, I don't know. Was he really lost and alone?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like,
Yeah. I feel like, though, he will probably have the traditional Star Wars scoundrel with a heart of gold arc. Like, he'll have his moment where he becomes as good a guy as he can become as a pirate. Or like Hondo, like he doesn't.
Oh, Hondo.
He doesn't stay like a ruthless pirate like through his whole arc. So like. He like that's the thing. He meets a kid, Ezra, who trusts him, when no one else will because he doesn't deserve to be trusted. So yeah, it's an interesting setup, and I did like Kim. By the way, Kim says that KB can call her whenever, and I assume that she means using KB's cyborg augment. She can just basically send a Star Wars version of an email to Kim. Because I didn't see Kim give her a comm link.
Yeah.
Well, Kim's got her little head thing.
Oh, that's right.
You know, implant to implant connections. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because I thought, because I was looking for her to hand the girl a comm link and she didn't do it. So I'm like, okay, it must be through the headsets.
And then the one thing I too was wondering when they go to the ship and they're, the confrontation, and they said, "Tell us the truth," and he says, "The truth is, I'm just like you, alone, lost and alone." And I'm kind of wondering, is he just saying that, or is that, something?
That was not a straight answer.
Yeah, it's not a straight answer, but it also makes you wonder, though. It's like, like you were talking about with the force power and stuff. Has he been lost and alone before, and then found like the pirates as his family, kind of, you know what I mean, or gang, and then but then when things blew up, he was lost and alone again. It's like, so it'd be I'd love to find out more about his background, and hopefully they'll have some stuff with that about, because it's like, or is he just like like you said, just trying to come up with a not so straight answer that'll answer what he hopes the kids will take and then just move forward. I don't know. It's just kind of
right. Something that'll satisfy them for the moment.
Right.
Although he does agree that he works for them now is what he makes the deal.
Right.
Because it's Fern, right, who says like you work for us. That's the deal. Or else I guess they were just going to strand him there. But
well,
he like tells everybody what to do on the ship.
Yeah. Right.
Well, the other thing too, it's like, since this takes place after Empire, right? And the Empire Return of the Jedi, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's when the Mandalorian takes place, right?
Yeah.
And what I found was interesting is he's like, he hates droids. He didn't want to go back for SME 33. And then he says, rely on a droid. They let you down every time. You can't rely on them, and it's like, and then I think of the Mandalorian, and I'm like, and that he's in the same timeline, and he's had his issues with droids. Whereas then you have other people, of course, that are like, oh, droids are wonderful, and we can't get by without R2-D2. And, it's like.
But imagine how many war orphans the Clone Wars created, whose parents were shot by droids.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Well, that could have been why he's alone. It's like, or said he was alone and lost or whatever. Maybe his parents were taken out by. Probably not the one he woke up, though, that said, did we win? Back.
Oh, that was great.
Oh, yeah.
I totally forgot to mention. Yeah, so that as he's rescuing Smee, he's waking up these various droids. I like when he wakes up the first one and it goes through its protocol droid routine where it's like, hello, my name is, and he just turns it off. And then the next one says something about, help, the prince has been captured, I must save him. And then he just walks into a wall and just keeps walking.
And he says, I can't see.
I can't see. And then he turns on a B-1 battle droid who says, did we win? Brilliant.
As it falls apart.
Yeah, and there actually is a character from The Mandalorian that shows up briefly. Either in this episode or the one before it, Vane, the pirate.
Okay.
The Nikto pirate who was with Gordian Shard in the last season of Mandalorian. He shows up as part of Brutus's crew.
Yeah, I thought,
but but Smee punches him.
Yeah. But
that was fun when they were making their run from the X-Wings.
Yes.
And he's like, Neil, sit here. Neil, drive what?
Because, yeah, and I figured out why. Because he's going to fly so erratically that the X-Wings won't be able to get a target lock. I'm like, that's very clever.
And you got to figure Wim and Fern would be much better shots, and he does let them get up in the turrets.
Mm-hmm.
Which, oh my gosh, a kid that age, and you're like, yes.
I think that their look of genuine joy at doing that was unfeigned. Like, I think those kid actors were having the time of their life doing that.
And for me, that's one of those scenes where it was just like I was saying when I was early on, it's like as a kid, that would have been like the dream thing. It's like, okay, hey, if I'm finding myself in this situation and then I'm told, hey, you're the gunner and take care, it'd be the coolest thing. And so.
Do they let you do that at Disney World? Can you like go into like the turrets of the Falcon and like shoot TIE fighters or something? Oh, they could make $1 billion more by doing that.
Well, you know what? You kind of do in the sense that when you do the Millennium, what's that called? I can't even think now. The Millennium Falcon ride.
Yeah.
It's you actually sit in the cockpit and then they say, okay, you're the pilot, you're the co-pilot, you do shields, it's like, so I think somebody's shooting and stuff and
okay,
that kind of thing. But you need a group of people. It's like if you're just two of you, it's harder, but if you're with a group of 4 or 5 and stuff and things. So they do that. But when I did the Galactic Star Cruiser hotel thing, they actually took you to the bridge and then on the first night there, they actually, until now it no longer exists, but they took you on the bridge and they said, okay, you get to be the gunner this time. And then you shift it. Now you're shields. Now you're engineering, and then on the second night when everything hits, then it's like, all right, because what happens is you're in this area and then all of a sudden you're dropping off the character, one of the people in this, that one of the cast members, one of the characters that onto her planet, but then before you can leave, a star destroyer shows up. And they're like, and before this Chandrillan ship was a cruise ship, it actually has some battle stuff to it, and it's like, everybody take your position, and you're in the bridge. So if you're close to the guns, you're a gunner. If you're close to the shields and stuff, and then they call him Poe Dameron at one point, and then all this kind of stuff. It's really cool. It was a neat experience, but it was just...
That sounds like fun, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But then somebody sabotages your ship, and then you get boarded by Kylo Ren, and then you hit the finale of your... of the experience, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think you shared video of that with us once, right?
Yeah, I did some of the finale, in the Slack channel stuff, but I didn't do the other one. I took some video here or there, but then you're like, I can't take a video. I got to be, on
holding a blaster or whatever. Yeah,
whatever. Yeah.
Nice. But so, that was
the kind of neat stuff that was part of it. Yeah. But
that was a fun chase scene though, when they're fleeing from the X-Wings and they do that thing where they kind of get close. They kick up all that dust or whatever that is. And so the X-Wings can't get a clear shot at them. And like the X-Wing pilots say later, they weren't really interested in destroying the ship because they knew there were kids on it.
Mm-hmm.
So they
didn't want to accidentally blow them up.
Right, yeah. I was surprised they didn't try to... Because I think you can do this in Star Wars. You can have modified... And especially since these X-Wings are doing kind of law enforcement stuff, they could shoot those modified torpedoes that have like the tracking beacon in them.
Oh,
and, get a tracking beacon on you. But they didn't do that, probably because they couldn't get a target lock. But I like that. What is it, Kim? When they ask Kim, like, so where did they say they were going? And she's like, you wouldn't believe me if I told you.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to see what happens next.
Yeah, it is. Although they've got to get these X-wings off of just like random law enforcement stuff. I get that. I feel like that's a misuse of resources. And X-wing is a space superiority fighter and should not be, like in The Mandalorian, pulling people over to check their license and registration or whatever. And as somebody noted in our Discord, this should be the time period where they start rolling out the T-70 model, because even in the sequels, the Resistance had like hand-me-down T-70s, which were not the latest X-Wing model at the time. And I remember reading in like the visual dictionaries that like they started producing the T-70s right after the Galactic Civil Wars, like the next generation X-Wing. But I think the answer why we haven't seen any of those in these shows is, one, they think people will get confused, and they don't want to visually confuse people into thinking it's the sequel era. Two, that I think that those are going to be reserved for, like, since they're new, for like patrolling the core worlds and stuff. This is out on the fringes of nowhere, so they haven't been issued the latest gear yet. So
yeah, they get the hand-me-downs.
But still, being an X-wing pilot is probably the coolest job in the galaxy. So,
oh yeah.
So yeah, I definitely think we'll be seeing those pilots later. I wonder if they're part of the same squadron that oh gosh, what is his name from The Mandalorian and from Ahsoka? The X-wing pilot with the goatee.
Oh yeah.
Oh gosh, I
feel really bad now not remembering.
Yeah, and it's like, because that's the thing with so many new Star Wars characters, it's difficult to memorize them all right away.
Oh yeah.
But no, I'll probably remember as soon as we hit close on the recording. But in any case,
I bet some of our fans will just put it on Discord for us.
Yes. So any other thoughts that I've missed or that we've missed going through this episode?
No, I think we got it.
Yeah, I'm just excited for what comes next. I want to see them. I'm interested what the secret is about At Attin, but yeah, it's something about that first episode and being on that planet. I had no patience for it whatsoever. And I don't know what it was. I was just like,
it's kind of funny to think about that planet, because the kids even discussed in this episode how everything had to do with accounting and money. All their parents were all doing something like that. So imagine a world all filled with accountants. If you're an accountant, I'm sorry, but no.
Or like that's the only job you can do, apparently. Although I'll make one funny reference before we close, and the aptitude test reminded me of one of my favorite moments from the cartoon Invader Zim, where there's a moment where Zim and his classmates have to take an aptitude test, and they insert your paper form that you fill out into a big gizmo, a giant machine that spits out your career. And it's giving all of the kids careers that really don't fit. Like, it gives the kid who's allergic to animals a career of veterinarian. And the kid's like, but I'm allergic to animals. And the teacher says, silence, the machine has spoken. So it was just kind of reminding me of that, where, like, you know, it's that very rigid statist kind of thing where it's like, well, the state will decide what your career is based on this mumbo jumbo test that you take. So
well, they did have that Ferris Bueller Day Off scene in the early on where they're sitting. I mean, they reversed the roles because you had Fern being the rebel talking to Wim. So it was just so funny. Yeah. It's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. The show is very much every 80s and 90s movie thrown into a huge mixer. And also Star Wars. So
but they're doing it well enough. It feels like a good nod without being too much. It's the fun I think that we all want. We need a little fun. Just to get away from things for a moment.
When the real world is not so good, it is fun to escape into the Star Wars world for a while, where you know that most of the time, except in the Acolyte, the good guys will win. Sorry, fans of the Acolyte. I'll stop saying stuff like that. So, yeah, but before we go, we would like to take a brief moment to thank our patrons, including Cesare T, Ann S, GR, Peter G, and Daphne M. Their generous donations help us to continue to create the secrets of Star Wars and all of our shows here at StarQuest, and you can join them at sqpn.com/give. And we'd like to hear from you, our listeners. What are your thoughts on this episode of Skeleton Crew? You can let us know by sending us an email to starwars@sqpn.com. You can reach out to our social media pages or leave a comment on our channel on the StarQuest Discord server, which you can find at sqpn.com/discord. Until next time, Jon Koral, thank you for joining me and sharing the secrets of Star Wars.
Thank you. I had a great time.
And Kathryn Laffrey, thank you as well.
Thank you. Good time.
And I'm Thomas Salerno. Thank you for listening to the secrets of Star Wars on StarQuest.
Hi folks, this is Dom Bettinelli, CEO of StarQuest. Over the years, the StarQuest network has continued to grow as a unique Catholic apostolate, bringing faith and culture together in ways that educate, inspire, and entertain. We're thrilled to have so many loyal supporters whose generosity makes all our shows possible. It's also a reality that over time, some of our supporters will step away from their giving. It is also true that the financial support that sustains this mission currently comes from fewer than 1% of those who enjoy our podcasts and videos. If we're to continue producing this life-changing content and expanding to reach new people, we urgently need new supporters to join us and current supporters to increase their assistance. This Advent and Christmas, the time when nonprofits like ours receive most of their support for the year, we're asking you to prayerfully consider becoming part of the StarQuest mission or increasing your support. Every gift of every size has a lasting impact. To make your tax-deductible gift, please visit sqpn.com/give. That's sqpn.com/give. Thank you for being part of the StarQuest family, and may God bless you abundantly this Advent and Christmas season.